First thing we want to do is turn on the circuit breaker for the chiller. Circuit breaker's on the back of the chiller. Circuit breaker on. Okay, so now that we have power, we want to hit the power button. That'll turn on the chiller. It'll start up and show you the set point, and after a couple of seconds, it'll show you the actual chiller temperature. So the actual chiller temperature is at 31.9. If you're just going to be hanging out for a while, not starting right away, set the chiller at about 34 so it doesn't freeze up. To change the chiller temperature, you press the knob in and then spin. So for example, if we were going to go on standby, we'd go up to 34 and press it again. Right now we're actually going to get ready to go, so we're going to set it back down to, we're actually just going to set it at 29 degrees. That's our target. Okay. We really don't mess with the flow or anything. So if you want to see the flow, you can just scroll through it. The flow should be 1.3 gallons per minute, and you shouldn't be seeing any PSI on it for pressure. Okay. Next thing we want to do is turn on the humidifier to max inside the booth, and we also want to hook up the RH temperature probe inside the booth so we know what's happening in the booth, and then zip it up. The Velcro, you just want to put your hand behind it and bring it across. It's a little tight right now, but it'll either stretch or Emily's going to fix that. Yeah, so right now we're at 88% RH in the booth. That's pretty high RH. That's good. Okay, next thing we want to do is turn on the water, the fluid supply to the steam generator. This is the steam generator, and we basically want to turn on the peristaltic pump. So we push the forward button. It should be set on slow. Is the we also want to make sure the power strip is on for the entire G2. Okay. Yes, we also want to make sure that the supply is full. We'll check that.
Like ionized water, right?
Deionized water.
Yeah, deionized water.
So you want this to set at forward, slow. That's where the button's in the middle, and set to about 3. And then you'll check your rotometer for the proper flow, which will determine with a little bit of experience. Okay, once that's on, what we want to do is make sure that there's water coming out of the end of the steam generator. It's very low flow, so we can see that there is water dripping out. So if we don't have water running through the steam generator, it'll burn out. There's a mark on the steam generator to showing how far it should go in. It should go into the perpendicular line. Now that we know that we have water going through, and we want to make sure there's not a lot of air bubbles that are letting air go through, we want to make sure water is going through, we can turn the steam generator on with this control, and that we want to set it at about 70. The next thing we want to do is turn on the heaters for the humidifier, which are controlled by the rheostat in the back. You can't see it right now, but I'm going to set it at about 70. And I'm going to turn my temperature probe on. This is the air temperature probe. It measures the air temperature in the G2. And we're going to wait until that air temperature gets to about 120 degrees Fahrenheit before we turn on the second peristaltic pump that's going to humidify the system. So we'll let that go for now. And to turn on the RH meters, they have an auto off. You just hit the on button. Remove that background noise. The other thing you want to do, which I failed to do just now, is before you do any of the things that I just did, is turn on the air pump. And that'll get the air moving through the system so we don't get anything too hot. Okay, so we have the steam generator on. We have the heater on and heating up. We haven't turned the water onto it yet because you have to get up the temperature first, or else the water will sit in the pipes and just collect rather than evaporate. And we'll just check our steam generator. Water's starting to get hot, but we don't have steam yet. Okay, the other things we want to check out are the Magna Helix. So right now, our target is to have the bottom Magna Helix, which is measuring flow at 0.5 inches of water, and the top Magna Helix, which is measuring system pressure at about 15 inches of water. If the flow rate's off, there's a handle which we'll go over and look at that we can use to adjust to get the right flow rate to 0.5. Okay, so let's go over to the other side and look at what we have to look at over there. Okay, just so we know what we're looking at, when we're talking about the humidification system, here's where the heat tape is that we just turned on to make the pipes hot. There's a section of heat tape on the bottom and on the riser. This gets very, very hot, so be sure not to touch it. This is where the water will drip in to create, to humidify the system. That's the one we haven't turned on yet because we're waiting for this to get hot. This is the lever that you use to adjust the flow rate. Basically, it's a valve that when it's all the way up, you close it off and it restricts flow rate, lower it down, and it increases flow rate. The pump for fluid is right here. I mean, the container for the fluid is here. If it gets low, you want to top this off before each day. Just take the top off and use the watering can to fill that up. If this runs dry, the steam generator doesn't get water and it can burn out. You don't want to do that. Okay. The other things we want to note on this side is the drain valve for the reservoir. So it's a three-way valve. When we want to empty it, we basically put on this lure lock syringe and move the valve towards the syringe and just slowly extract it to take the water out and then close it. Now, what we'll also have when we're doing an actual run is we'll use this syringe pump, which will have a line going to the other valve that when it's time to add buffer in, we would just move the valve to that position and then buffer would get pumped into the G2. But for now, we'll just turn it off. Okay, so let's go around and see how the system's looking. It's nice having a floor drain. Okay, so where are we at? So we're at 97 degrees air temperature, so we're not hot enough yet to turn on the water. So we just need to wait around for that. Let's take a look at the steam generator. And right now we see that there's a little blurb. If you just sort of point it at the plastic, it's very useful because you'll see the condensation form on the plastic and tell you that it's generating steam. The RH in the system is at 63 and the temperature's at 81.2. That's because we're not pumping we're not humidifying the system yet. Okay, so let's hold on for now.
Cut.